Here in Singapore, a recap of a developing story here. A so-called cruise to nowhere has returned to the city-state after a suspected COVID-19 case was detected on board.
And according to the Royal Caribbean, one guest aboard Quantum of the Seas tested positive for coronavirus after checking in with their medical team. The Royal Caribbean ship Quantum of the Seas was on day 3 of the 4-day cruise. It docked at Marina Bay Cruise Center around 7:40 a.m. local time this morning.
For the latest, let's cross to Gwyneth Teo. She's live from the Marina Bay Cruise Center. Gwyneth, what can you tell us about the situation and what the cruise operator is saying?
That's right. So Royal Caribbean, as you've heard, has just confirmed that the so-called suspected case is actually a positive case. The Singapore Tourism Board, which also manages these cruise to nowhere, have also confirmed that there is one case on board. The cruise operator is saying that they have performed contact tracing with all the close contacts among the passengers and the crew, and so far all those individuals have tested negative. And right now, as you can see behind me, the cruise ship is actually docked here in Marina Bay Cruise Center. The passengers are still on board. When I walked past just now, they were, right outside on the balconies, just relaxing, talking to each other, or just one of them was doing push-ups. So quite a relaxed environment on board. I think not so much of any worry among those on board for now, but they can't really disembark yet because the cruise operator has said that they are performing a review of the contact tracing, ostensibly to ensure that they haven't missed anybody out. And once that is done, the passengers will be allowed to disembark. So it has returned early. We also know that there were a lot of precautions taken on board before the ship set sail. So basically, the Royal Caribbean is also saying that the fact that they managed to identify a passenger on board who tested positive for COVID-19, isolate them, do contact tracing, make sure that everyone around them is negative, shows that all these processes that they've put in place are working so far.
Yeah, let's talk about those processes. You mentioned precautions are in place before the cruise set sail. Can you talk us through what were some of them?
Yeah, so even during boarding, it was performed in a staggered fashion. All the baggages were sanitized, sprayed down with disinfectant when the passengers boarded. There was also lots of safe distancing being performed on board. Everybody had to wear their masks. It's sort of just like being in public here in Singapore. Stick to your own groups, stick to your own small groups, and then and not intermingle too much. But just have the relaxation of being on a cruise. So all the passengers were also required to go through a PCR COVID-19 test before boarding. We'll have to find out a little bit more about when the passenger exactly had symptoms set in and why it was he kind of fell sick, or he or she fell sick in the past 3 days of the cruise setting sail. But basically, all these precautions were on board, and the most important thing is that the passenger was actually identified, isolated, and it has so far not spread.
Gwyneth, you mentioned that the passengers on board Quantum of the Seas are quite relaxed, not very worried. But with this confirmed COVID-19 infection, are there worries that it's going to unnerve other travelers who are booked to sail on other trips as soon as Friday?
Yeah, so I actually spoke to one gentleman who had booked a cruise to nowhere as well this weekend, and he's actually bringing his elderly relative. Oh, he didn't seem very concerned. He didn't seem very overly worried. He wasn't about to cancel his cruise. When I asked him, it's not with Royal Caribbean, it's with another cruise liner. But he was like, I'll think about it. And perhaps his main concern is actually for his elderly relative. But he did say that he was aware that a lot of precautions are being taken on board these cruises, that it's really just like being here on the land in Singapore. It's just that it's on a cruise ship. It's just that you can get relaxed a little bit in a different kind of environment. So for him, for this specific gentleman, he is taking his time to review. He said he hopes that the cruise may call it off, but because it's of a different liner, we'll have to wait and see how the other cruise liners react as well.
Clearly a developing story. Gwyneth, thank you very much for that update. We'll be in touch with you throughout the day.